empowerment, and I know that I've seen some of the work you people are doing. Now, tell us, what are the plans of this present administration to ensure that our youths are gainfully engaged?
Okay, thank you. Let me start again by saying that before the emergence of Professor Charles Soludo as the governor, uh, I was, and actually still, the convener of one of the support groups, but our focus was on the youths. And the essence of coming together is because we realized that most youths in the state have soft spot for the governor, that is Professor Charles Soludo, at that moment. So we needed an umbrella to bring all those young persons that love him and that would want to see him to become the governor. So essentially, what we did was to begin to redefine politics. We brought about politics of stakeholding, where young people began to put in their little resources, begin to reach out to their fellow young persons to talk about their preferred candidate, as Professor Charles Soludo. And now on emergence, we also feel that there's need to continue to support him to succeed, because it's very important. It's not just about supporting him during the election, but also supporting him to ensure that he succeeds. And that's essentially also because the governor, is quite very passionate about the young people, about the youth. If you read his manifesto from chapter 39, where he talked about youth, women, and social inclusion, you specifically in page 40 of that manifesto, you see all those plans he has for the young people. And all those targets, all those objectives were all deliberately designed to address the issue of youth restiveness, youth unemployment, youth unproductivity, and what have you. And then going further and to demonstrate his passion for the young people, he set aside and established my office, which is a special advisor to the governor on youth empowerment programs. He's very passionate about sustainable youth empowerment programs that will essentially bring about sustainable youth productivity. And not just doing that, if you look at also his revised budget, you see that he raised the budget for the youth from 500 million to 2.5 billion. And that again is a concrete step to demonstrate his passion for the young persons. When you talk about having a digital tribe among the young people, he means every word of that, And he also wants, in actual sense, to ensure that the young people are quite engaged in the politics of the day. In the school, for instance, we have 5 of us that are below 40, essentially, and in our 30s. So you can, and even among other appointments he has made so far, including EAs, SA. For instance, in Deputy Governor's Office, 11 appointments made, 9 of them are below 30, below 40. So you see that this government is youth-friendly, and they're essentially very committed to arresting youth's restiveness, and very passionate also about enhancing the productivity of the young people. So I would say to you that the commitment of this government in youth development is unwavering. It's quite robust, and one that we have to support to ensure that all the plans are actually, achieved.
All right. Now, the governor actually took oath of office on the 17th of March this year.
Yes.
Now, March, April, May, June, July is 4 months in the seat as the governor of the state. And I don't know, from what you've said, he has huge plans of what to do with the young ones.
Exactly.
And we know that it's not an easy task. Going by the way or the trend, some of the young ones today see life. They want to get it big, in quickie money or something like that. People going into so many things that are not, that dubious means of getting well. Let me put it that way. What actually is this government doing to let these youths know that there is a way, or to totally change the narrative, the way their mindset has been already, programmed?
Yeah, thank you once again. Let me say that the governor keeps saying that our future is in our past. That is to show that we have to actually go to the basics to be able to actually address these humongous issues facing the young people, the what we call the get quick syndrome. Part of our agenda, which we already started, is social reorientation. We've started already to sensitize young people on the need to be to stay focused on the big issues of life, to realize that it doesn't pay anyone to jump any process. Life is a process, and if you want to achieve sustainable living in terms of lifestyle and essential, and at the end of the day, achieving that same wealth that you're looking for, you have to go through that process. Growing up, they used to tell us about akaja nebuto no mano onye luo olie aluo na olie nando. So we're beginning to bring back those values because life, like I said, is a process. If you want to understand what it means to live a quality life, then you have to go through a process. Rome was not built in a day, and that is the emphasis we are laying. We're also taking a step further in making sure that youth empowerment programs are quite designed to achieve sustainability. So it is no longer those days you run a program for a month or 1 week and then you feel that you've actually empowered the person. No, the minimum standard for any empowerment program training is 3 months, so that you'll be able to be well equipped. And then after that 3 months, you also be placed on a more we call an IT, where you also understudy that area you've been trained on. The essence is to begin to dignify skills and begin to ensure that our young persons understand that the government have them at the heart. Another thing we've been able to do also is to begin to, the government has begun to institute a reward system. If you do well in your endeavor, you are rewarded. And if you do not do well, you'll be shamed, appreciating people and also shaming people. So if you are a youth and you're working so hard, please continue to do that, because in fullness of time, you'll be identified and the government will reward you appropriately. And that is also part of the agenda in arresting this or addressing this issue of get-rich syndrome. Yeah, get-quick-rich syndrome that is quite pervasive in the society.
All right, the program is Good Morning Anambra, Soludo Solution, Anambra government to address youth restiveness. That's what we are looking at this morning. And let's let you know that the program is audience participatory. In case there is anything, any suggestion you want to make for the government to key into, in arresting youth restiveness in the state, you're free to call. Your information will get to the appropriate authority. At this point, let's take a short break to bring you Street Work. The program returns after now. Do join us again.
Those who are not opportune to be in school, they have to engage themselves into all this learning handwork, artisans and the rest of them. So youth also should help themselves, whereby government as well need to provide job opportunity. Like all these, many people are due for retirement, but they are still occupying public offices, which we, the youth, have to be. Where we're supposed to engage ourselves and be working, you see somebody of 90 years is still occupying the office. They are not paving way for the younger ones. So I think government should look into that, and also help the youth in social amenities such as You know, some of us, we have something to do. We are talented to do many things. We are good in creativity, but government is not helping the matter because electricity is war. If you don't have money to buy gen, government cannot provide steady electricity for the youth. Those that have something, that have handwork. So government have a lot to do for the youth to stop all this criminality so that we will help ourselves too.
The government should know that the street is littered with talented youths. All the states of Anambra, they are littered with talented youths talented in the entertainment industry. Youth that their talents have value in the entertainment industry. Youth that their talents have value in the sports industry. A whole lot of them are there. So the government can think out of the box, look for a way to fish out these talents, because these are talents that at the time they get frustrated and they are easily lured away by, you know, quick get rich quick syndrome and other kind, even drug abuse. But government can harness them, you know, fish them out from the streets. Look for, there are so many programs. Go to the streets, fish out these talents, even if they're educated or not. You know, talent is raw. There are avenues to harness these talents, refine them, and put them to use. You know, so that's my own opinion. Talent, because the jobs are not there. Even education-wise, there are a whole lot of graduates, you know, walking around. Even the talent hunt could involve graduates as well. It could involve non-graduates. It could involve illiterates. You know, it's broad. Sports and entertainment. That's all.
They should uphold their promises during manifesto. Like, they promise to create jobs. They promise to create schemes that will keep the youths busy, like skill acquisition and the rest. And I feel one other way they can, you know, reduce restiveness in the youth is to encourage education, right? Because I feel the more educated youths are, the more they understand that they can also make themselves useful without having to lean on the government, on what the government have to offer.
Our governor, the current governor of Anambra State, Governor Soludo, was campaigning, says he's going to give so many people the youth appointment. He's going to give them jobs and all that. I think the government need to bring out time to do a whole lot. Like if you go to some states, they are doing skill acquisition programs and all that. They need to start involving the youths. Like the last government that just left, of Willie Obiano, involve the youths in the governance of the state. It will make the youths to have the sense of belonging, because the future belongs to them. If you don't engage them in governance, if you don't engage them, they will be restive. It is the reaction of all that. Are you following me? Because every action has reaction. The reaction is that they will be restive because they don't have, they are the people that you are projecting for the future. And the old people are busy eating up everything. Are you following me? The government need to be proactive, the government need to be proactive in trying to accommodate the youths, create jobs for them. There are a lot of things you do in the environment and the society, and the youths will be engaged. Are you following me? The youths will be engaged. If you go to Europe, you see there are a lot of sports activities that put the youths on job. Are you following me? They will be doing those things. It's like an extracurricular activity, but they'll be getting something from it. Government need to explore so many approaches, you know, to get certain things done. Are you following me? They need to be just proactive. Proactiveness is the bottom, and I believe that they will be coming on of Governor Soludo. He will definitely do something, because I see him as somebody who knows certain things about helping the youth and all that.
Soludo solution, Anambra government to address youth restiveness, and we've seen our people on the streets, you know, suggest ways, you know, things government can actually do to help in, you know, arresting these youths. Now, Nelson, I don't know what's your reaction. You've seen some suggestions. At this point, I would like you to tell us some suggestions they made. Actually, when the government took up the hem of affairs, it says that it's going to provide jobs and, of course, make 4,000 young millionaires. And one girl actually spoke here that government should live up to their manifesto, that they should uphold their manifestos, and not after promising, they end up not doing it. So what can you tell us about that and this present administration?
Thank you so much. Youth restiveness has to do with a sustained protestation. And what causes all these protestations as a result of lack of basic amenities, youth unemployment, youth non-inclusion, and what have you. But I want to tell you that this government, ably led by Mr. Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, has started on a very good note. She talked about creating jobs. Of course, the governor was very emphatic on creating jobs on in his manifesto, the People's Manifesto. Like I said, if you go through page 39, 40, even 41, he was very commitmental. He committed to creating jobs. And he once said, introduction of the manifesto, emphasized that the manifesto is all about the youth, and about the jobs. And he's already doing that because the government won't create the whole jobs. Neither. As a matter of fact, all over the world, private sector are actually the ones that create jobs. What the government does is to create an enabling environment. And the government has started well by giving a very spirited fight against the insecurity insurgents we have in the state. Because without a secured environment, secure state, public sector and private sector will not thrive. Private sector won't come in to invest to be able to create those jobs. Government can only employ a little number, but with a thriving, peaceful environment, private sector can come in and create more jobs. So the governor understands this, and that is why he's investing massively, putting all he has and all the state has in making sure that he provides security. So security is very key to even arresting the youth restiveness. You have to have a secure environment. So the government is doing well in that area. And there are indices to also show that he has done tremendously well in security. Now, if you recall, what people will call the unknown government, there won't be any Sunday when the governor came on board, there won't be any Sunday that there's no killing. So that to create fear in people, so that the next day, being Monday, people can stay back at home. But today, and for the past 6-7 Sundays, there have not been a recorded case of any killing, because the governor has taken the war to those zones, and he's actually winning that war. Secondly, the teachers' recruitment has come and is still ongoing. Most people that are also going to be recruited are young people. As a matter of fact, the government was specific at the age bracket that will be recruited, and most of them are young people. So it's very important to note this. Thirdly, the governor has extended, if you like, his hands of fellowship to the international community. Last 2 Saturdays, the governor hosted the world in Anambra, and with all these donor agencies coming in to see what is on ground, they also have plans, and part of their plans and agenda is to, support the young people. We also have the ongoing programs at the youth ministry, including the recruitment of the master trainer that will be able to train the young people in different skills. These are part of, living the faith, matching his words with action towards youth engagement, towards youth empowerment, and towards youth productivity. So the government or Professor Charles Soludo has not derailed. He has his eyes on the ball, in terms of all that he has said that he's going to do. They are there in the manifesto, and like I said, we'll get to a point where we'll begin to tick the checklist. And if you begin to tick at the moment, you'll see that he is touching on all those things he said he's going to do. And Anambra youth, this is the best time to be an Anambra youth person, because the governor is committed.
For the benefit of some people watching us or watching this program or may watch it later, and some people may have young ones that they want them to take advantage of what is going on presently in the state. How can they gain access to what is happening in the state as regards the youth empowerment, youth training here and there?
Yeah, we have, as a matter of fact, the governor made it clear that the government is going to run an open door policy, and actually it's running an open door policy. For my office, it's quite very open for every young person that has something to contribute or has something to ask of or has something to do with youth empowerment program. And of course, the Commissioner for Youth is there. The whole commissioners, I can tell you, are quite very accessible because these are people you can walk in Roban and see, you can walk at Club Road and see, that you can walk anywhere, and you can also talk and engage with them. And so feel free to, if you don't have, if you are staying in a remote village and don't have means of coming to Oka, put up a call. Your call will be answered and your questions will be addressed. But most importantly is that all our programs are well advertised, both on the social media, on the mainstream media, using
They should watch out. They should watch
even through their
radios.
PGs,
Okay.
because the governor insisted that all interventions must be community-based. There's no program, except for those in Oka and Anambra, these things. There's no program that is centralized. Programs are taken down to the people at various local government and at various communities. So watch out, ask your PG. Your PG will always reach out to the PG of all PGs, and PG of all PGs have a clear access to the government, and the communication and information flow has been eased, and is quite an area that this government is also doing well, because there's a very good partnership and a very good relationship between the government and the town union.
All right, the program is Good Morning Anambra, Soludo Solution, Anambra government to address youth restiveness. The number on your screen is meant for you to call and make your own opinion count or ask any question of importance. I have with me in the studio Dr. Nelson Omenoga, who is the special advisor to the governor on youth empowerment. Now, Nelson, we know that government of Anambra State is really doing all she can, to change the narrative of our youths, of our young ones, to make them come to terms, or they can, that's after the trainings, they can, compete favorably with their counterparts wherever they meet them. Now, what's your assessment so far of what the government is doing currently in the lives of our youths? How would you assess it?
Well, in all fairness, the government, like I said, is on the track. It's all work in progress, but let me also say that you have to get the fundamentals right, which is what we've been doing. First and foremost, we have to even define who is a youth in Anambra. So when you say youth, you should be clear on who you're talking to or who you're talking about. For us, people from 40 years below, 15 to 40 years. That's number one. Number two is, what kind of empowerment do you want to run? And we've identified highly competitive skills that our youth should be looking up to. One is solar. Of course, you agree with me that nationally, the response to electricity, what we have there currently in terms of power supply and whatnot is nothing to write home about. People are starting to self-help by installing solar, because even the cost of diesel is quite huge. The cost of petroleum is quite huge. So we are looking at the renewable energy as an alternative. So we want to train young people in that area, solar. CCTV because of the security issues and because of the need for people to be anywhere in the world and see what is happening in their homes. We also want to train people on how to install CCTV, both the IP and the manual one. And then we talk about data programming, we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about app development. These are, so you've got to actually understand, identify those skills, understand the realities of the 21st century, and and then once that is ready, you now get the youths to begin to, those interested, because it has to be passion driven. You have to get those who are interested in those areas to begin to subscribe. So it's stage by stage. We've been able to define who we want to empower. We've gone out to identify the competitive skills that our youth can learn. We have to, of course, opened up for people to apply to those identified skills. So essentially all we are doing is to address the foundational issue. Like I said to you, we train up to, we've designed it to, get up to 12 months. Because, but what you used to find in the past is 1 week training, and then you give them what the governor usually call emergency handout, 100,000. And then you say you've empowered them. And you find those people still on the street. They will go, simply eat the money. And the governor has always said that a half-trained youth is even dangerous. Because if you do not train one very well, for instance, on how to install solar, he goes to one's place, in trying to connect, he could set the person's place ablaze. So you've got to have the patience to train people and to make sure that those that you are bringing out on the street are quite knowledgeable and are quite well trained. And recall that the governor is already walking his talk. When he said he's going to be the chief marketer of Made in Anambra, he means it. His car today is Innocent, Made in Anambra. And by the way, our youth are in Innocent currently training on automobile, in partnership with Carrier Academy and Bosch, and then Innocent. Then you have his shoes from Made in Obunike, here by the youth. His Akwete, of course, made in Akwete village, but sold in Anambra here. So the point is that, like I said, this is the best time to be an Anambra youth, because the governor is one that is quite supportive. He's very determined in terms of not just marketing your products, but patronizing your product.
All right, quickly, for want of time, what challenge do you foresee in all this, and how do you plan to surmount the challenges? Because we know that nothing comes that easy.
Yeah, lack of funding is that is why we are laying emphasis on adopt and empower a youth. We want those who are well-to-do in different communities to begin to think about, using our templates, getting their young people, enrolling them in the programs they're interested in, pay for them, and have them trained very well. Instead of giving one 50,000, 100,000 periodically, you better you put those money together and enroll the person to acquire skills, a lifelong skill, and a one that is sustainable, that will take him off the street permanently. So funding on part of government is an issue. The government have insecurity to contend with. It has road infrastructure to contend with. It has environment to tackle the menace of refuse dumps here and there to tackle with. You have education to invest in, it, health sector to improve. So there's a whole lot to government can do, and then you talk about the youth. So the funding, the limitation, the challenge is funding. We want the private individuals to understand that investment in human capital is a collective one and one that shouldn't be left just for the government. They have to begin to partner with the government in the area of training people, because the strength of a society is actually measured by the quality of our youth. So let everybody come together to support government in training people sustainably. Instead of giving a keke to somebody without training the person how to ride keke, or training the person how to repair keke, please do not give out such keke. We believe that giving out keke to somebody that doesn't know how to ride keke is not an empowerment. As a matter of fact, you are licensing the person to go and kill himself. So we want our people to understand that things are done in a systematic and in a structured way, so that ultimately the desired aim of doing such supposedly empowerment will be sustained. And then you have value for your money. You can't give out, spend up to 300,000 giving out people money, and then the person keep coming back. Instead, teach the person how to fish very well. And then for life, you're not just feeding the person, you are feeding his lineage, because the person is able to also solve other people's problems.
All right, we can go on and on, but I think at this point, our time is fast spent here. We'd like to appreciate you so much for watching this program today. Soludo Solution, Anambra government to address youth restiveness. It's been great having you in the studio, Nelson Omenoga. You are the special advisor to the governor on youth empowerment. And I believe you will take the message of the people to the governor. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
And that's how we wrap up Good Morning Anambra show this morning. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nonye Wokoe. Let's do this again tomorrow. Bye for now.